friend, are you thinking about recording an audiobook? If you're an aspiring author in today's marketplace, I really hope you are. It is the fastest growing corner of the publishing market, and it's something that I want you to be a part of as you step forward in the world with your book. My name's Kelly Notaris. I am the founder of KN Literary Arts, and I have this YouTube channel where I help you get all the information you need out of my 20 years in the US publishing business so you can get your story and wisdom onto the page and into the world. Please subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a video. All right, this video is all about the tips you need as a new author as you're starting to contemplate whether you should record an audiobook in addition to writing a written book. And I really want you to have all the information you need. So I'm going to give you 3 tips in this video, but if you want to jump all the way to my FAQ, you can go down to the notes below this show and you will see a link where you can download my FAQ. It is an interview with a really amazing professional audio engineer who will tell you everything you need to know to go from here to having an audiobook in your hand. But this video is about both some tips for you and also my own journey. I actually just recorded my first audiobook. My book is called The Book You Were Born to Write. It's everything you need to get your wisdom onto the page and into the world. You can see the paper book behind me. But from the moment that I published the book, people started asking me, oh gosh, is the book available in audio? Because so many people nowadays, they don't even read paper books. They prefer to take their audiobooks with them on the go, whether they're listening in the car or on a walk or while, if you're like me, cooking dinner, I listen to audiobooks all the time. That's the way that many of us have been able to work the listening to books to getting those stories we all love and that wisdom we need into our very busy lives. So it's no question that that is something you should be thinking about as you're putting your book into the world. So the first tip I want to give you from my own journey and also everything that I've learned over the course of my time in the book business is that number one most important thing about an audiobook is that it is recorded in a professional studio. So can you record one in your home? You can, but what we don't realize, those of us who aren't audio engineers, is how subtle audio is and what gets picked up by that audio. So there are ways in which you can create an insulated room in your house, but if this isn't something you want to do in the long term, why go to that extent? It's so much better to book a professional studio. You would be shocked how many studios there are out there. I live in a very small town. There is one here in my town. They're pretty much everywhere. So you can just go to Google and look up audio studio in my town. And what that will do for you is give you a professional space where you can go that's already insulated with high quality professional equipment. You don't have to invest in it yourself. You just are renting it for the day or for probably 2 to 3 days if you've got a normal length book. And you also have the company often of an audio engineer who will sit there with you and help you with the recording process. So you don't have to go filling your brain with learning how to record an audio. It's not something that necessarily you're going to need to know after this point. So why don't you just go ahead and give it to the professionals and let them do it for you? So that's the number one tip, is to budget to book a studio, a professional audio studio for your recording. I was lucky enough to have a wonderful guy who sat with me in the recording booth and helped me throughout the whole process. It was really a fun experience for me. And I'll tell you that I booked mine for 3 days. We did not need every hour of that time, but it was nice to know that if it needed to go all the way to 8 hours a day for 3 days, we had the time. So that's just as an example for you as you head toward your own audio recording. So the second tip that I have for you is to, once the audio is recorded, to hire a professional audio engineer to do the editing for you. So I don't know if you really are thinking about how long audio recording is, but it is very, very long. We're talking, it could be as 20 hours, 25 hours of recorded audio that needs to be edited through. If you're planning to do it yourself and you're not someone who already knows how to record audio, you may be setting yourself up for enormous annoyance and pain, okay? It's something that I have always thought, I could probably edit audio. I'm a book editor. Editing is my life, so I should be able to do it. And I'll tell you, it's kept me from making audios over the course of the last 7 years that I've had KN Literary Arts. I haven't made audios because I kept saying to myself, well, I need to be the person who learns how to do the audio editing. I mean, we all have GarageBand on our Apple, or it's easy enough to download some software to any computer. You can even sometimes do it on your phone. Don't you think we should all know how to do it? But the fact is that there's a difference between the amateur audio editor and the professional audio editor. So with this, there's like a corollary tip, which is make sure that the person you hire actually understands the art art of editing spoken word. It's a real different experience to edit spoken word and music. And many of the audio engineers you'll find out there, they only know music. So make sure you've got somebody who's recorded podcasts. Maybe they've recorded for a radio station. Maybe they've recorded commercials, but something that is spoken word in addition to music. Maybe they do both. That's great. But at least make sure they have some experience with spoken word. And then just understand you're going to need to budget for this because you're hiring someone to edit a lot of hours of audio for you. And it takes longer than 1 hour to edit 1 hour of audio. They're taking out all these little things you don't even know are there. Mouth clicks, little ums and ahs. Sometimes there's something you don't even hear with your human ears, like a train going by in the distance, but they can hear it when they're listening at that really subtle level through that high quality audio recording. So they're going to want to take that out. They're really cleaning things up in ways that you or I, as mere mortals who aren't actually audio editors, wouldn't even know to do, but the end user will know if you didn't have it done. So I'll tell you a little story. I actually had a book that I found that was on a very esoteric topic that I was really interested in, and I read the book and loved it, and I thought, I want to digest this even more in depth, and so I bought the audiobook version. So that right there is just a clue to you about what people are doing with audio these days. You know, if you want to have, if you learn in multiple different ways, a lot of people are buying both a paper book and an audiobook. So I started listening to the audiobook, and I gotta tell you, I was super bummed. It was not professionally edited. The author was not a good speaker and didn't have obviously someone there coaching them as you would have if you again booked a professional studio and had someone sitting in with you. They could coach you because they've probably worked with people before and help you really create the best version of the audio you can. And I ended up not listening to it, and I felt a little bummed that I'd spent the money because it's actually not inexpensive to buy an audiobook download recording. And I will also say, just here, take a minute to say, you only need to create a digital download. You do not need to create CDs or tapes for goodness sakes. Everyone is switching over to digital at this point. Most people don't even have a CD player in their computer or even in their car anymore. So make sure that you don't get yourself all worked up with the idea of having to create inventory for your audiobook. You do not need to do that. Digital download is sufficient. So at any rate, just wanted to say, I felt bummed that I had spent that money and I had been ready to spend a lot of my time to listen to this audiobook, and I couldn't do it because the recording was not professional. So be sure to, again, make sure you have someone sitting in the studio with you, and that also you have a professional audio editor on deck to edit that audio for you once the raw tapes are available. Okay, and my final clue is don't rush the process. So I notice I'm somebody who likes to get things done super fast, right? I'm a high functioning person, and I like to make the most of my time. I'm very efficient. And one of the things I learned through recording my audio for the book You Were Born to Write is that if I ever felt like I was rushing, I kept messing up over and over again. And then also on day one, I wanted to get as much recorded as I possibly could that day. And by the end of that time, I was so tired that I actually didn't have the energy I would normally have had for day two. And as I said, I booked 3 different days, and I did I sat and recorded about 6 hours on day 1 and day 2. And then on day 3, I only had to record about 3 hours, but I had the rest of that time already booked and paid for. So if I had just been willing to go a little more slowly, I imagine that I would not have had that dip of energy on day 2. You'd be surprised how much energy is used sitting. I mean, here I am on video sitting and talking to you. It takes a lot to actually put ourselves out there in that way and to speak. Most of us are not used to speaking for 6 hours straight. It is very tiring. So be sure to not rush it. Give yourself the breaks that you need. Take a break at least every 45 minutes or so. Take a 15-minute break, walk around the block, enjoy your life, and then come back to the studio and sit down again. So those are my 3 tips for brand new audiobook authors. As I said at the beginning of the video, there's a download that you can find the URL for down in the description below that will give you, soup to nuts, what you need to know, whether or not you decide to record on your own, which I don't recommend, but if you really need to do that, we'll give you that information. But then also if you decide to work with professionals on the process, and it's an interview with the exact person who coordinated the recording of my audiobook. He's the audio engineer at Hay House, where my book was published, and he's given us such great information, so I hope you'll download that below. All right, my friends, it's so good to always talk to you here on this channel. Please don't forget to subscribe, because this is my great joy to bring you the information that you need to get your book into the world so it can start helping, changing, and entertaining all of us. We need you. Thanks so much, and come back again soon.